All right, so today's session is about the actual process itself, and the components that are sitting behind that. So the first module you're going to do, is the value of financial coaching for your business. And the reason why we start with that is, at the end of the day, if you can't identify exactly why you're doing this, it's going to be really difficult for you to understand, I suppose, how you're gonna critically assess. I might chuck the webcam back on. Actually, it's a bit easier to show a little bit of emotion in this, right? So I'm not insinuating that you guys don't know why you're doing this. What's happening? So here's what's happening out in the field at the moment is, and I don't know if you guys feel this as well, but the technology providers, and it's not their fault, but they're influencing the way that a money management, financial coaching conversation is being had. And the reality is, you wouldn't, in a financial planning world, you wouldn't let X-Plan or Midwinter tell you how to be an advisor. But because there's no process that sits behind it, the tech guys are sort of by default making suggested ways to do it, and that's becoming, I suppose, the process that everybody's following. And the problem with not having a strategic decision-making framework around which parts of their suggested process you're going to follow, even which parts of our suggested process you're going to follow, the problem with not having one is you're not going to know that it's wrong until you're too far down the track. And so the benefit of using this framework, the playing to win framework, is right from the outset, you're going to start with this really clear process of what strategic problem we're trying to solve by bringing financial coaching into our business. Now, if you're anything like 95% of the people that we've worked with, the coaches that I've worked with over the last sort of 3 to 4 years, I would imagine it's going to be because we're targeting a younger demographic, and our younger clients don't like a traditional. Younger clients aren't, necessarily focused on insurance and super. If you're a financial advisor, or if you're a mortgage broker, on the mortgage broking side, it's going to be harder and harder to just get new loans without having a debt management component to it. And I'm not going to have a debt management offer if I can't help them with their spending and their savings. So what we're trying to do is help you have a process that you're actually going to use to then fit your offer into, rather than just saying this is a standard process and everybody goes and follows it. And so that's the first module that you're going to use. Refresh my memory. I don't think I've covered off this equation with you guys yet, have I? Because I did the video. No, I did this the other day, so I'm trying to remember whether I've done it, but the video's already done. That's what I'm remembering. We've already done it. Right. So the second thing you're going to do is winning the value challenge, or the client value challenge, and by winning the client value equation. Basically, what we're trying to do here is, within your financial coaching offer, specifically create something that is designed to add more value than it costs for them to pay to get the value. But we want you to reframe your thinking around cost rather than just being dollar cost. Think of it as time, and so that and customer experience. And if the value that you're delivering, and I'll go through the breakup of each of the different components of the value, if the value you're delivering is greater than the cost, then the client's going to see the value in it both initially and on an ongoing basis. And so what our job is to do is to look at both sides of that equation and say, okay, well, what's in my value stack? My value stack is the products, the services, and the solutions that I'm going to use for my clients. Specifically within our context, we talk about advice, lending, and coaching being the product. So not which bank account or lending product, or not which insurance or super product. The product is the advice, the product is the lending, and the product is the coaching. The services is how are you going to deliver on that product. So how are you initially going to help them get their stuff set up, and then on an ongoing basis, how are you going to help them stay on track. So your normal ongoing service proposition. And the last one is your solutions. So what technology are you going to bring that's going to help you deliver your services to the client and get the product. the better you understand each of the components, the stronger I suppose the assumed or the presumed value stack articulation comes. So through the course, what you're going to get is a lot of focus on how do we actually, specifically focusing on the coaching stuff, obviously, not so much advice or lending. But this skill is transferable. So if you learn how to position value in a better way through financial coaching, you can transfer that skill into how you position it from an advice point of view and how you do it from a lending point of view as well, because there are going to be some similarities. Cost, we're going to get you to focus on not just the actual dollar. So obviously there is the dollar cost of them buying your coaching services from you, but there's also time, and we want you to challenge the way you think about time rather than it being traditionally, so coming from an advice background, we have normally charged, and I think most of us still charge, more time with us is more valuable to the client, is what we've sort of always suggested. Whereas that's true, but as long as it's something where the client actually wants to spend extra time, if it's something where we'll go.
I'm using Calendly. No, I'm not.
So, Marcus, you're using Calendly. Craig?
Craig. Yeah, Craig.
All right, so Craig is using Calendly, Marcus is using Calendly, Brian, nothing at the moment, and then Charlie, from memory, you hadn't picked one yet. Just waiting for the chat box. We don't have Charlie on chat yet. Okay. This is something that, Marcus, tell me, how are you finding, why it was low, no, not how, or Craig, whichever one of you wants to jump in, why are you using an online calendar booking software?
Well, this is Craig. I found that it was very handy when you're trying to book an appointment with a client, to be able to book the appointment with the client, with the husband and wife, and to give them the opportunity to either meet in person or have a online Zoom or Skype call, and it's been working really well.
Yeah. Marcus, have you got audio on yours, mate? You just on text? You've got tired going back and forth to clients to find the time. Yeah, cool. So this is one example of time, right? So we've always thought it's the time that they spend with us, but it's the time of all the activity that they've got to spend around dealing with us as well. So we started using that time trade, which is just no different to the other ones, but we started it for the financial coaching stuff because it was easier for us to be able to book. They were used to using technology, and off we went. We now use that across every single interaction that we have with our clients, and it saves them a crap load of time. They book more meetings from 9 to 5. Sorry, they book more meetings from 5 to 9 than they do between 9 and 5. We get meeting bookings done on a Saturday and a Sunday. I don't know what you get, Craig. Do you find the same, that you see the meeting requests coming through?
Yes, it's actually really good. Yeah, you see an appointment come through, and you think it's quite a good concept, because it's at the end of the day, it suits them. They know it's coming up, and they just book it when they can. Actually, you obviously look like when husband and wife are together or whoever, they've obviously talked about it and booked it.
Yeah. And Marcus has just made it exactly the same. So Marcus has a different meeting link for every meeting type. We're exactly the same. So in this, you can have a structured process. I think what's going to happen out of your financial coaching offer is there's going to be more and more stuff that you do that is driven by technology, because the reality is you don't need to physically sit in front of people to do financial coaching. There's going to be times where you need to see the whites of their eyes to get them to have a bit of a, what we call, come to Jesus meeting, where it's basically, guys, you're miles over your budget. It's time to take this thing seriously, or are we going to bin it? And you just can't do that. You can't do that as well virtually as you can when you're staring at them eyeball to eyeball. But there's so much stuff that can be done without any interaction physically with them. And all of this gives them time back. And so what we're doing here is we're saying, if you can create ways of putting all of this stuff together and then deliver a fantastic customer experience. So as you evolve out of meeting bookings and virtual meetings, so I don't know about you guys as well, we're probably running about 70% of our meetings virtually now. I'd say less than a third of them are done face to face. I don't know what you guys, what's the rest of you, what's your experience like?
Yeah, mine's only just slow because I've only just been starting to use this for the last couple of months, so it's probably only a percentage base, probably 10 to 15% at the moment, but there's a lot more as time goes on.
Yeah, so Marcus is about 10% as well. Charlie or Brian, what about you guys?
Brian here. Most of mine's face-to-face, but I'm trying to get them to move more to online meetings.
And Charlie's the same. So, yeah, 5 to 10%. And look, we started doing this virtual meeting stuff probably about 4 years ago. Marcus said he's had teething problems with mic and webcam issues from clients the first time using Sweetbox. Yeah, so you're going to find, this is the irony of the technology stuff. In theory, it's fantastic. You're going to get glitches in programs and software. I mean, we've seen this with GoToMeeting. You can drop out with your web if your internet connection's not strong enough. But the financial coaching stuff, you're going to have the ability to do a lot of this stuff virtually. So the benefit of that is clients get used to having virtual meetings, and then you can just attach that to and extend that out to your next types of meetings. We do our insurance and super meetings. Actually, we don't even do the insurance and super meeting traditionally via virtual anymore. We've wrapped it up into a video. So we send the clients a video recorded. Here's how we think we're going to construct your insurance and super recommendation. And then the meeting that happens after that, which is done virtually, is done where you're actually going through the outcomes from the video. So, and all of that was created out of the financial coaching side. So what we're going to do when you get to the next bit, which is before we get to the next bit of doing the budgets and the transactions, all of this is going to get built out of different client avatars. So we're going to help you build out different client profiles. So, singles, couples, families is a very simple way of doing it. There might be a little bit more sophisticated, where we break ours up into young families, so new parents, and then we have parents of school-age kids. We have the blenders, so people that are emotionally together but financially separate when they're bringing their worlds together. And then you've got your Sally singles and your Sam singles, and all of that. When you build that client avatar, what it's going to help you do is understand how do they want to interact with you. What would they want a video of instead of having to do a virtual meeting, instead of having to do a face-to-face? What would they want to have as a face-to-face meeting versus a virtual meeting versus a video? And we're going to analyze your process, again, specifically about financial coaching, but that skill is going to be transferable into the other aspects of what you're doing. Budgeting, we're going to take you through this journey. The 4 steps. So this is the client's 4 phases that they're going to go through. And the 4 stages are designed to get them to the point where they are really good at it. So budgeting is the exercise of them setting a target around how they're going to measure the success of their money management program. And they're going to set targets around income, expenses, and spending. And then savings is going to fall out of the bottom of that. Guys, I'll just chuck it on mute for a sec because we're getting a bit of feedback, and I'll take it off in a second. But if they don't believe that budgets are a good thing, not evil, mate, it doesn't matter how good they're going to be or how good the software is or anything like that. They're just not going to cut it. So there's a really deliberate step that you're going to go through with them to help them accept that budgets are a good thing. And there's little hurdles that you can put in place, because you can't just come out and go, are you going to be a pain in the backside and say that you're going to do a budget but not actually stick to it? So an example is in our process, and we'll have the same suggestion for your process, before they get started, the clients have got to pre-complete a budget. So we would send them the budget planner, which is in the kit bag, and we'd say, guys, to come in, before you do a money management plan meeting, you've got to pre-complete the budget. You've got to fill out your bank account structures, and you've got to tell us how much money you've got in your accounts. And if you've got to send it back to us at least 48 hours before the meeting. And if you don't do it, you don't get in. Now, someone that's not going to sign up for a budget and pay you, around $1,000 plus to set this stuff up for them, and anywhere between $100 and $400 a month to track for this stuff and provide ongoing coaching, if they're not going to, there's no chance in hell of paying the dollars, if they won't even fill in the budget bit and send it through to you. So you can build little hurdles into your process rather than just coming out and going, are you going to be a pain in my ass, and say you're going to do this, but then not really stick to it. Then you move through into the second stage, which is awareness, and that's typically, we'd say, a 3-month window. And depending on which software you use, it's either going to automatically pull this, or you're going to start from scratch. Now, one of the next webinars we're going to go through is budgeting, so we're going to spend a lot more detail on that stuff. So I'm conscious I don't want to open Pandora's box around the budgeting process today, because we won't be able to close it in time to get everything done. After 3 months, your clients will start to move into improvement phase. An improvement phase is they narrow the gap between the target that they're setting and the actual result. In the first few months, it seems that it can be a little bit like this, where it's all over the shop, but it starts to get more consistent. And that typically happens between month 3 and month 9. And then from month 9 to month 12, they're in performance mode. So the skill here is not to just give them the process, but it's actually positioning up front. Guys, you're not going to know what it costs to be you unless you've been tracking it for 12 months. And having a go, not just tracking at it, giving yourself a budget and actually trying to stick to the thing for 12 months. Now, by doing that, you're sort of preemptively helping them buy into a 12-month engagement with you, because they're seeing off the top, okay, well, I've got to give this thing a run for 12 months. And then your software is going to be the support program that enables you to deliver on that. Okay, feedback loops, which is what the reporting side is. There's 4 options here: weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. My favorites is weekly and quarterly. Spending snapshots is a little tool that we've created. You're going to have it in your kit bag. I'll show you guys how to use it. There's going to be a whole demo on that. It's not automatically generated out of all of the software. MoneySoft does it, so they've taken our template and loaded it in. My Prosperity doesn't have it. Money Brilliant doesn't have it. Xero doesn't have it. So what it does is, think of it like a spending usage warning. You'll pick 3 or 4 categories that they're more likely to overspend on. The clients will tell you what they are, and then once a week you send them a little snapshot on how they're going. This thing, compared, and when you put your banking stuff together, works really well. And think of it as, in footy analogies, this is the 1%ers. If you do these little 1%ers, if you can manage these 3 or 4 categories, statistically you're more likely to actually hit your targets. So rather than needing to focus on measuring everything all the time, like, you don't need to track and measure and give a snapshot update on their gas spending every week. 1, you're not even going to get that data. 2, it's completely out of their control. So this is the sort of stuff that you learn through in the reporting side. Monthly, it's sort of a placeholder. Here's how you went compared to for the month that you're going. And then quarterly is where you've got the opportunity to bring them in for a bit of a rah-rah. Here's how you went for the last quarter. Here's how you've gone against your previous quarter. Here's how you're going against your targets, and here's how you're going compared to your peer group. So in the budgeting stuff, I'll talk to you about the peer group stuff we've set up as well. And then yearly is about resetting using last year's numbers to actually move forward for the next year. Banking's going to be my favorite one. Banking is my favorite by miles, and it is the most important because it's where the rubber meets the road. So if they have a really good spending, storage, and savings account set up, they're going to hit their targets. And I could argue once they've set the budget up and you've had a little bit of reporting, you could almost remove those ones and just run the banking structure, and they'd be successful. Now, the reality is, with all 3 components working together, that's when they're going to get the best result. But this is the one that always gets glossed over. And your money management tool, your whichever one you choose, that's not going to help you with this. So this is all on you guys. This is where having internal mortgage broking makes your whole world so much easier. This is where, if you've got an external referral partner, you need to get them on board, because most traditional brokers don't do the banking part, they do the lending part, and they typically just send the client off to the branch to get some accounts set up, and they leave it in the client's own hands. You do this properly, and it's impossible for them to subconsciously overspend, because they have to consciously choose how they're going to spend their money through their accounts. There's going to be a whole module just on banking. It's a big part of it. Then I'm going to teach you guys how to actually help them get set up. So there's a whole module around the actual setup structure. So getting them in, the pitch right up front, getting them on board, convincing them of the value of money coaching or financial coaching and paying you a fee, into the actual budget setting exercise, the banking structuring setup for the first time, into the software itself, when to add them into the software, irrespective of which one you're going to use, how to deal with retrospective transactions and all that sort of stuff. So the whole kickstart part. Specifically around the ongoing, I'm going to focus more around the quarterly progress meeting, or you could just call it a progress meeting that's run quarterly, because you could run it monthly if you wanted to. You could run it 6 monthly or 12 monthly. Usually 3 months is a good window. I love, again, footy analogies, footy being AFL, and I say, well, look, the coach doesn't just give the troops a rah-rah at the start of the game and say, best of luck, I'll see you at full time. They're coming in at each quarter and they're giving them the information that they need, and they're providing insights around what that information says. And if they need to make changes, they make changes, and they reset and off they go. And part of it is motivational, inspirational, and part of it is factual. And that's what your job as a coach is to set them up, but then also help them stay accountable to what they wanted to do. And sometimes they needed to cop one in between the eyes, and sometimes they're doing an amazing job and they just need to be told how well they're doing. And sometimes they need a reality check. They might be being too harsh on themselves about how much they've spent, but compared to their peer group, they're under budget. So I'm going to teach you how to run a really fantastic quarterly progress meeting, which you can then change to whatever time frame you want, monthly, bi-monthly, 6 monthly, 12 monthly. It's the same structure. Yes, we're going to learn how to price this stuff. And we're going to deal with the elephant in the room, which is how do you blend a pricing model in when you're getting commissions from either insurance or from mortgage broking? Because we get them on mortgage broking, but we don't get them on insurance because we've been fee for advice for about 6 years. How do you blend in a pricing model where it's an explicit fee that has no product attached to it, where your current payment structure might be either paid from the product implicitly, being a commission, or explicitly being a fee? And how do we help you set it up in a way where the client sees that they're winning the payment challenge, which is I'm getting more out of this each month than it's costing me each month. You don't want it to be like a gym membership where they haven't used the gym for 2 or 3 months and they feel like the gym's winning. You want it to be the opposite, where they feel like, I'm getting a lot out of this. I'm happily going to keep paying. Not only that, they're going to start referring other people in because of how well it's going. And then finally, we're going to teach you how to launch your pilot group. It's going to run for 3 months. Now, I think for you guys, the way we're going to do it is hopefully if everything's up and running by the end of September, you might have moved through the course by, let's say, the end of October or beginning of October. You might be able to have a cheeky little pilot group that runs up to the end of Christmas, or you might have one that spans the gap and then kicks off on the other side. Either way, the biggest window you're going to have for this is going to be New Year's resolutions. Everybody comes back after Christmas and they've got a spending hangover and they've got to deal with it. We will have you 100% ready to go for the influx that you're going to get at that point in time. And there's a deliberate process we're going to go through. Guys, I'm going to open it up to questions now on any or all of the slides that we talked about. So free for all, go for it. Hopefully someone's got one question for me. Nothing at all?
You explained pretty well. I was just ready to get started, I suppose. That's the main thing.
All right.
Kick things off.
All right, so the first, I was saying to the guys who got here earlier, the first 2 modules are getting loaded this weekend, and then the plan is to have everything up by September. So, by the absolute latest at the end of September, but I'm just going to load modules as they come online. The big thing, I'm not waiting on ASIC anymore. I'm just going to do it, because if ASIC changes their view around the banking staff, I'm just going to have to come back and redo the module. So I'm going to roll it out live based on how the rules are interpreted today. And then if ASIC changes their position around whether or not offset accounts are a financial product and how things get documented. I'm just going to come back and redo it. So, guys, you don't have to stress about that stuff. Rest assured, and that's the beauty of paying for the course, right? So that you're in, and now if anything does change, I'll just reload the content, send a message out to everybody going, okay, we've changed the banking stuff, go back in and redo these modules. Yeah, next ones we're going to do a lot more modules around the, so a webinar around the budgeting stuff and the bank account setup stuff. So I can see that that's going to be a popular topic. All right, guys, we're good for today. We're done. That's the process. There's a lot that's going to be in there. Hopefully, it's everything that you're looking for. I know you've been waiting patiently, so I do appreciate that you're being patient with me. Going to have the first couple of modules live this weekend, so please get in, have a go at it, give me your feedback. Be kind on the, be kind but be critical. Like my video skills, I'm sort of hopefully getting a bit better at it. But as Phil Thompson said, I fixed my lighting because he said I looked like a crack addict with sitting in with the lights on. So we've fixed that. I don't look like that anymore. Have an awesome weekend, guys. Go Swannies, and I'll talk to you all next week. See ya.